Emma's been talking about the mix of leadership, young players. She mentioned you as one of those leaders.
Ah, hello.
What's that been like? I mean, new coach in the environment. How have you
Yeah.
sort of navigated that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, when you're a veteran player, you don't really feel like you have to do anything above and beyond. You just kind of exist in the environment, knowing that your responsibility is obviously to yourself to be the best that you can be, but also, helping the newer players just get adjusted to what it is to be on this team, what it is to fight for roster spots. Yeah, I would say, the biggest piece of advice I always give the young players is like enjoy every moment that you have, and every moment be honored and grateful to be able to be on this team, training, whatever role you have. Always work hard to be your absolute best version of yourself.
Uh, Tierna was actually talking about how she thinks you and her are on like opposite ends of the leadership spectrum, where like you process out loud, you facilitate a lot of discussion in the moment, and she like needs to sit and think and digest it. And how both of these things have a lot of value, especially at a time like this. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like I probably blurt out everything that T wants to say, but like she definitely thinks a lot of things through. But I think leadership is so authentic to who you are. I've always been a vocal leader, somebody that knows that the game requires a lot of energy. And if I can give even 1 ounce of energy to my teammates around me to encourage them to press, win a tackle, come back, track, whatever it is, I think that that's beneficial, and I think I lead in my own way. I don't ever lead to try to be anybody else. I try to, give my teammates what I think that they need in that moment. And T does the same. She leads in a different way than me, but she's always leading by example and always pushing to be the best version of herself as well.
When it comes to the Olympics, obviously this is the last match you guys will have together before the roster is named. It's probably, I assume, a very stressful time for everybody, especially the younger players. What do you do, actually, do you pull them aside? Do you tell them, not to worry about it, just do, X, Y, Z instead? How do you, when are you having those conversations?
I mean, I think anytime you're in this environment, it's almost like you're in a tryout mode. So it's like you don't even have to acknowledge we're all here trying to make the roster. It's like we all get that. You show up in camp, you're like, we're all here doing the same thing. But I think, like I said, it's just you got to really take each moment as it is. Don't get caught up in the end result, but get caught up in the process and everything you need to do. If you look too far ahead, I think you miss out on so many moments of growth and learnings and connections. And I think every training is so important. I think as we get closer, it's like you almost feel the weight of every moment that you're here together a little bit more. And I think that just makes you feel like you need to remain present. And that's really what it is. It's like the coaches decide at the end of the day, who starts, who goes to the Olympics. It's like all you can do is really just show up and show your value. And we're all so uniquely different in what we bring. And I think it's leaning into whatever that is that you bring to the table and continue doing that.
How did you feel when Emma named you as a forward on this roster?
Yeah, I mean, I found out when everyone else did. So, I mean, it's cool. I think it's something that I take a lot of pride in. It's been, my career has been a little different than most. It's a blessing and a curse, I think, in many moments. But I think I feel honored that I'm trusted to be able to be versatile. I think that speaks a lot to who I am as a player, who I am as a person, who I am as a teammate. And I think, I never try to play like anyone else. I can only be Crystal Dunn. And when, I was named as a forward, I was like, cool, let me just tap into what that means for me and being the most authentic version of myself I can be in that role.
Last one, go ahead.
Emma was just in there. She said she feels like a heart surgeon, and she's teaching everybody around her. It was a longer simile than that, but about the procedures and making sure everybody knows what they're doing, so that going forward, it doesn't have to be taught every time. Or just what's it been like procedurally in camp? Has this felt like any other camp in terms of going through those daily motions, or things any different? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you're in a transition period, when you're bringing in new staff, there's a lot of new. You have to almost start from the very beginning, the foundation. But that doesn't mean that we're reinventing the wheel or we're speaking a different language. It's almost just going into so much detail that you're like, cool, yeah, this is a lot of detail, but this is meaningful information that, she touched on. It's like, camps down the road, we won't have to go back to the beginning. This is just kind of the groundwork that's being laid, and I think it's important information, but I think she's also given us that space to say it's not going to be perfect game one. It's not going to be perfect training one, but it is important that we're bought in and that we're always fighting to be the best that we can with the information that we're getting, and I think it's been a great camp overall, and everyone's committed to just, being on board and moving forward.